guys. So in theory, it's a really good idea to podcast outside since it's such a beautiful day. But in practice, if I sit in the sun, my face is completely in shadows due to my hat. If I sit in the shade, I'm in shadows. But it is so beautiful out here. I am covered in mud and dirt from the hike over and trying to find a level place to put you guys. Yeah, I don't see how Junkie podcasts outside covered in snow. And Jenny, I'm referring to as the Lone Larch Designs podcast. She's like in Canada and there's snow all around her. It's supposed to be really nice today. I might end up taking off several of my layers. I definitely need a drink of water straight away. Hello, we're a minute in. Welcome to the Junkie Podcast. My name is Amber. I'm coming to you from the beautiful Possum Kingdom Lake in Texas, where I live with my husband and our daughters. It's been like a month since I've recorded a podcast, guys, or like 3 weeks, something ridiculous. And so if I look down, I was just readying my little notes that I jotted. Since it has been so long, it does definitely feel like spring. I know that of the podcasts that I've watched in the past few weeks, everywhere, it seems, is either covered in snow or getting ready to be spring. So like I said, I'm coming to you from Texas. I think it's supposed to be something ridiculous, like 90 degrees today. It is probably 9 in the morning. I got my girls on the bus, kind of did some chores around the house, and I was like, I have the house to myself. I'm going to record a podcast. And I looked outside, and it just looked so beautiful. So I threw some clothes on and hiked over here. And now I'm starving because I haven't had breakfast, of course. Just coffee, but no coffee right now because of the hike over. This is basically my front yard, but I don't live directly on the lakeside. I live probably a football field away from the lake, from the waterfront. So it was a bit of a walkover is my point to that. Because tons of time has passed, I have a ton to show you. My basket is full. I brought this over so I could show you everything that I've been working on. I have several works in progress, a couple of finished objects, and I'm going to try to find a non-muddy spot to put all of this stuff. It has been raining a little here and there. We actually had like a flash flood the other night. Scary thing, okay, here's your public service announcement. My husband always tells me not to take a bath or a shower during a thunderstorm. And I've just always sort of never listened, ever. I'm like, I'm going to take a bath when I want to take a bath, okay? The other night, I would say two nights ago, I took a bath and I just stepped out of the bath. And I mean, it was lightning and stuff outside. There was thunder, whatever. I took a bath and then 15 minutes after I stepped out of the bath, I kid you not, 15 minutes, I was watching the girls and my husband was upstairs. They were watching a movie on our theater, and I had taken a bath, so I was just downstairs knitting and watching a podcast on our tablet. And then suddenly there was a really loud crack, and I heard a snap right around where our bedroom is, which is right by where the water heater is. And lightning took out our water heater and half of our electronics in our house. Luckily, our projector is okay, but our PlayStation's toast. My husband's plotter. He's a design engineer. He works from home. So he has this giant printer called a plotter that prints, design quality plans and what have you for architectures and electricians, and yeah, he has one of those big printers and it's toast. Our printer is toast. The receiver to the theater is toast. Luckily, the projector's okay, but so much loss. And then we had to spend quite a bit of time troubleshooting the water heater, and it's still not fixed. So last night I was having to boil water for the girls to have a bath. It's ridiculous, guys. The state of our house now that it's been struck by lightning. But I have everything laid out now, and I can easily talk about it. That was just kind of some random thing. Did I even have it written down to talk about that? No. Our router went out too, so we didn't have internet for a few days. But I do have a few finished objects, and the first one, I feel okay showing this because I really don't think that she's going to have time to watch a podcast before she gets home and checks the mail and all that stuff. But I made this for a fellow podcasting friend that just had a baby. If you don't know, the knitting expat, Mina Phillip, has just had her little baby. She announced it on Instagram, and she was so cute. But I made this for the little baby. Mina loves elephants and rainbow yarn, and my hands are so muddy. I feel bad touching this. I'm going to have to give it a wash before I send it off. But yeah, so this yarn, it's going to be blown out in the sun. I have better pictures of it on Instagram. But this yarn is the Lemonade Shop. It's the Bad Day colorway. And I think my intro video is going to be me caking this up. I had so much fun caking this up. I had so much fun crocheting this little elephant. And I was so proud, okay? So what I do to make these up, this is from the Edwards Menagerie book. These are all crocheted animals in here from varying levels of experience. There's level 1 all the way to level 3 in this series. She's actually Carrie Lord, the author of this, the designer of these animals, has since come out with a bird book, a monster. I mean, I love all of these. And I've crocheted several of the animals in here. But here's the elephant. And when I was working on this the other day at knit night, the ladies really wanted me. I was talking about teaching a crochet class at my local yarn store, which is West 7th Wool. And the ladies in the group really wanted me to teach a class on this. So I'm going to see about maybe doing that. But there's level 1 experience, or beginner experienced, all the way through level 3 in this particular book, and this is a level 1. So I mean, if you're a beginner crocheter, you could definitely do this. It's very easy. I usually work up the body first, and then the limbs, and then the head, and then so on, all the features. So I started with the ears, and I was so ridiculously proud of how well I did sewed on the ears and how even they are. And then I totally jacked up the arm. Look. I am not the best. And then the legs are kind of wide apart. I am not the best at finishing these things, but I do have so much fun making them. And babies don't care if their arms are a little crooked or, you know, it's going to be hopefully loved on. And that's why I use superwash nylon yarn. It can be tossed in the wash. I've made several of these, and I wash them. My girls, you know, they get sick or whatever, and I always make sure to use a washable yarn and lay them out to dry because of the stuffing. You don't want to put that in the dryer. But my favorite part of this is how the tail turned out. And it's just so cute, and it's perfectly rainbow. I did do some yarn management to do that, but I am super proud to send this off to Mina and her baby. I hope she loves it. And I have plenty of yarn left over. I think that I'm going to either do a sockhead hat or a pair of socks, but probably a sockhead hat. I've seen several sockhead hats knit with this particular yarn, and I really, really like how they turned out. I also look at the tip of the nose. I did crochet it just a little bit long, one more row, just so I could end on that rainbow nose. And I like how the ear is rainbow here. And my girls, they were looking at her and saw that she has this little rainbow smile. So cute. Another finished object I started these back in November after I finished Prudence's birthday pair of socks. I wanted to use up more of the pneumatic yarns because I only made her a pair of ankle socks and make myself a pair of ankle socks. Look how much I still have left over. Plenty for minis to send to my friends, or even heels and toes for yarn. For other socks is what I meant. But here are my ankle socks, and the coordinating yarn that I use matches so well. It's totally blown out because of the sun. But this is actually a mini that I got from the Cat's Kettle Yarn Club, her Halloween club. But I thought that it went really, really well with that. And I really like the way it turned out. I knit these toe up using the Turkish cast on. I increased up to 64 stitches and then switched to a 9-inch circular. And then once I bound these off, I put in a fish lips kiss heel, and then I just bound these off like rollers. So I just loosely, I actually had to take one of these back out because I had done it too tightly. But I just bound off one stitch and slipped it. I'm not sure what that's called. But like I said, I did it too tightly on one of these, and I couldn't get it over my foot. So I had to re-tink it and bind it off a lot looser. They're covered in dog hair. I haven't even worn them, and they have dog hair out on them. But these do not count as my box of socks for 2017 since I started them in 2016, so I can wear them straight away, which makes me happy now that I've shown them. But my first pair of socks for 2017, I was knitting the Mercury socks. I showed you guys this yarn last time, and I called it something that it's not. This is Vivid yarn in the Beast Black colorway. She did the collaboration with Jody of Miss Brown's Bags, and I can't remember what I called it last time. But it was a yarn that Jody and Tracy use a lot, so I wasn't very far off. But this is Vivid yarn by Yarn Studio. And it's very speckled and sparkly and rainbow, and I love it. And I'm actually going to try to hurry and finish these up before the end of February so I can enter these into the Suburban Stitcher Rainbow Along that she hosts every February. Actually, I'm entering the elephant too, obviously. It's a rainbow elephant. And I cast these on in January, but then I ripped them out and restarted them in February to change the pattern because I wasn't happy knitting them into Mercury socks like I showed you guys last time. I ripped those out and wrote Tracy, who was knitting a shorty sock for her daughter Georgia. I really liked the way it looked, so I asked her what her recipe was, and she told me it was just a little bit of rib, and then she was knitting a heel flap and gusset, which I haven't done in ages, so I wanted to give it a try. Oh, I really like the fish lips kiss heel. This took me 3 days to knit. I'm not exaggerating. I mean, it wasn't the only thing I worked on, but I wanted to do the Eye of Partridge heel, which makes no sense now because you can't even really see it that well. But I messed up the first few rows the first few times, so I kept on having to rip it back, and I finally got it, and I just did a simple 3x1 rib and a rounded toe. And the reason I do toe up so much is because I suck at decreasing the toe, number one. I get off track, even trying to keep it in my head like the count. I always get off track, and then I also can't Kitchener worth a flip. And I hate the way my toes look. I love the way they look in toe up socks, but these are just not making me happy. I am glad that I got one done. This is my January sock. This is all I have to show for it. And then I've started a little bit of rib on the next one. And I started using, this is part of my acquisitions. Not really breaking yarn diet because I said I can still buy needles as well as patterns, pattern books. I don't need any more yarn or notions, really. These are the Knit Pro Zings DPNs. I ordered them off of a shop on Etsy. If you really wanted to know, I could look up what that is. But I like these. They're quite a bit lighter than the carbons and any other DPNs that I've used. And I feel like that might help not get ladders. Sometimes they get ladders and sometimes I don't. It really depends on my mood and what's going on. So that is that sock. I don't want to bury the other stuff in the basket. I've been working on this sock too quite a bit and ripped it out, so I don't have a lot of progress. This is in my homespun house bag that I got last Valentine's Day. I love this bag. And this is my February sock. So I cast this on with a very bright Knit Picks yarn, and then really just didn't like that red yarn. And these socks are it's a Homespun House bag and a Homespun House pattern. So these are the Dale socks by Molly. And so I hem and hawed about the red I was using. I switched to this red, which is Telltale Heart by Cat's Kettle. And she actually has some of this. I just looked at her shop a few days ago, so forgive me if it's not there now. But I saw Telltale Heart as a pre-order. So if you really, this is kind of being blown out, but I can take a better picture of it. It's a really tonal, beautiful, luscious red that I think is perfect for any time. But these are my February socks. I changed out my gray a lot. So I was doing this with this gray and a brighter Knit Picks red. This gray is the Thunderhead tonal from Knit Picks, and I was using Heartfelt from Knit Picks. And I decided that wasn't jiving with me, so I switched out the gray to the gray that I actually have in my fade, which is a Lola Did It, Coal Miner's Daughter. But it was too dark to go with this. That gray was this wasn't as saturated. So I switched it. Someone, forgive me for not knowing, but someone on my Instagram actually told me what helps them when they're doing color work is to take a picture, a photo of it in black and white mode. That way you can see the contrast easily. And I'd never thought of that, so thank you so much for that tip. And I did that, and then these two were the ones that really stood out to me versus the other two red and gray yarns that I had picked. So I knit these from the toe to about here 3 times with 3 different red and gray yarns and ripped them out each time. So I have worked on these quite a bit for not having hardly any progress on them. But these are my Dale socks. Again, I'm sorry for the sunlight, but it's just this is actually I'm adapting the pattern. It's a cuff down pattern, but I wanted the hearts to be all facing. So the top of it has this really pretty Fair Isle bit. And then you see the hearts she calls them snowflakes in the pattern, but I wanted all of that facing the same way. And again, I preferred knitting my socks toe up. So I'm following the pattern. I'm just reversing what I'm doing. And it is a paid pattern, so I don't want to say too much about it. But this is the Progress Keeper that came with the bag. But on the bag, I have 2 of my Progress Keepers from Knitty by Nature that she sent me as a Valentine, which just make me so happy, and hearing them tink around on my project bag just sounds so pretty. So that's the progress for my February socks. Not very much at all, and that just kind of bums me out. But I'm going to stop it right here and switch around some stuff right quick, and just for easy upload, take a break, take a drink, and I'll be right back. I know why I was so late to record. I looked at my notes. My girls have been sick. Oh gosh, my phone. That was my dentist. I actually canceled because I didn't want to go. So I've been working quite a bit on these socks, as well as my fade, which I'll show you next. These are my travel socks. I have this in my bag that my friend sent me. She also sent me this yarn. Celia, thank you. I love this bag. The girls do too. They kept commenting on the fabric on the outside, and as I said last time, I love these little micro stars. But it is literally the perfect sock sack. I mean, I love the handle. I love the little zipper pull and the army green zipper she put on it. I love this sack, and I want to thank you again for sending it. But the last time I showed you my 2 at a time in tandem socks, I was about here, I want to say, on both of them, just below the cuff. I think I'd done 10 rows on each. And now you can see I've made some progress. I am 2 inches on each of them before I get to the toe, maybe. I put in a Fish Lips Kiss heel. I was knitting both of these on DPNs, but then I switched. Once I got done with my stripy socks, I switched these to a 9-inch circular, trying to decide which one was faster. And again, Knitting by Nature sent me these really cute, tiny little heart stitch markers that I put to mark for when I put my heel and toe in. And I love those for 9-inch circulars. They're just so dainty and easy. And then my little tulip knit points just make it so handy. But I really have loved working on these, and I feel like they've flown by, and I would have finished these had I not tried to put so much time into my fade. And I just haven't even made that much progress on my fade, to be honest. I'll just get to that project so we can chat about it for an hour, because I feel like that's what I have to vent about this. But oh, and this DPN cozy is from Knitting I Love. She sells these on her shop. Knitting I Love. I love this. I actually gave one away in a giveaway not too long ago that she sent me. So thank you for that, Barbara. And Celia, so much love from overseas in this little project. I love it. And those are my husband's socks. Did I already say that? I'm doing my husband a box of socks. Probably not 12 socks, but as many as I can knit him this year. I would love it. I noticed a few of the other ladies on Instagram and stuff are knitting their husband's socks and kind of have a box in mind for that. If y'all want to do a cowl with me, I will create a thread for that. I would love more support in knitting socks for our husbands as well as ourselves, but our husbands need socks too. So I just sort of have all the stuff that Melissa sent to me poked everywhere so I can talk about it. But she sent me this wand. She has these stitch markers in her shop, a bunch of different ones. I know she has Dumbledore's wand, which is the elder wand. She has, I want to say she has He Who Shall Not Be Named wand, Voldemort's wand. She has, this is Hermione's wand. And this is the one that she sent me because I told her I love Hermione's wand. And I was thinking, I have a big project bags that I can clip this to, so I was like, oh yeah, that's a cool zipper pull, because you don't want to hang something like this on your knitting, though it isn't that heavy. If you have a worsted weight project, this would be great, or a worsted weight blanket that you're working on. It's really cool. However, the girls from the ladies from the Naughty Knit What podcast I was just watching them, and they said someone said to use it as a shawl pin. And I was like, of course. So I could just get some hardware and knock the clasp off and use it as a shawl pin. And I like that so much, and I think that's exactly what I'm going to do with it. But I'm just sort of jumping around because she also sent me this. And this is really cool. I have a Harry Potter project bag that I clipped this to. It's a sorting hat, and it's copper. Thank you so much, Melissa. And she sent my girls some Valentine's stickers. And she also sent me this really cool DPN Cozy by Steel City Stitcher. But she knows that I love the VW buses, so that was really nice. And I had it on my fade in a card that said Happy Valentine's Day. So thank you so much, Melissa, for that. And the stickers she sent my girls, she said she really liked the llama, and I did too. I told my girls that I was going to swipe some from both of them just so I could have the llama for notes and stuff that I send friends. So I swiped 2 books. I mean, she sent each girl's got a 6 book, so they're not going to miss a book each. But my fade, I was sitting there talking, I'm losing yarn, about my fade while those socks, because oh my gosh, look. I started this last night and got up and got a snack. I'm in the middle of a row. How am I supposed to talk about this if I'm in the middle of a row? And I always tisked at podcasters when I'm like, how do you stop in the middle of a row? Because life happens, y'all. So I've been working on this so much, and every single time somebody posts to Instagram and they're like, oh, wee, this is just flying by. I'm like, how? How have you knit 5 feet on your fade and I'm still on color freaking... Well, I'm on color 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 still. this is not flying by. I remember watching Katie of Inside Number 23, and she's saying pretty much the same thing. The garter just makes me want to stab my eyeballs out. Like, it's endless rows of garter. I'm just now to the turning point, and I was watching someone hold theirs up the other day, and it's like this much more on the end once you get to the turning point. This is going to take me 5 years to finish. I do feel like it is a good long-term project, so I'm trying not to stress out too much about it. It is a mindless, easy, once you get into the pattern, it just flies. Or not flies, but it's potato chippy. Like, you're not even really thinking about the rows. Even in the lace section, and I'm not a lace knitter, guys. I am not a lace knitter. But here, it was kind of difficult, and I had to read the pattern. Here, I kind of screwed up and skipped a whole section of the lace, which is okay, because it's going to be wrapped around you about 50 times. Here's the last place that I was. I think when I showed it to you, I had just gotten to the color number 3. I was fading it in. And once I did this lace, I felt like it was just easy, and it was pretty decent. I didn't feel like I messed up. And then I faded more. And then when I was working here in this section, I was at knit night, and that flew by. I wish I could go to knit night every single day just so I could work on this and it get done so much faster. But what was so funny is when it was sitting on the table, because I just leave my knitting like laying on the table or something, and the girls were getting ready for school, and Prudence saw this little Sucra miniature that I got in the Tim Burton Yarn Club from Molly of a Homespun House. And she goes, "Oh, wow, that's so adorable. It's a little grow cake." And I just thought it was so adorable that she called it a grow cake. From Alice in Wonderland, if you weren't familiar, she has these little bites of cake and she grows. So that's my Alice Falls Down the Rabbit Hole colorway by Homespun House. And it's just this really beautiful tonal light gray with these flecks of yellow and purple, like just barely purple flecks. Let me see if I can, like, you see there's just like little tiny shots of these maybe pinky purple rose color, and a lot of the yellow is throughout, and then this darker tonal gray, which I've kind of picked up on my coal miner's daughter, Lola Did It, is this next colorway. And I am on the lace. I am on the, you're supposed to repeat this so many rows, so I'm on the last section of that repeat, and I will start fading in my 5th color. Finally, when everyone else in their person is almost done with this, I am slowly trucking along. This has definitely become a product knit for me. I want this project. I love the idea of this huge shawl that I can just wrap up in and be cozy. But knitting this is killing me. I just want it done. I really, really, really just want it done. But that is the progress that I've made on that. And I could not help but cast on some other socks the other day. So I was watching Bethany, a new to me podcast, the Woolberry Fiber Co. And hi, Bethany. And she was talking about wanting to knit the Afterthought Everything socks, which I've been wanting to knit since I watched Melissa of Spicy Homemaker. She knit them, and they just seem so intriguing to me. I bought the pattern. I haven't really read it. The concept seems easy enough to me. You knit from the cuff all the way down, just a tube, and then you cut in your heels and toes. So I did cave on my yarn diet. I had been saving some Christmas money that my dad gave me as an emergency just in case I had to have something, and then Maker's Haven, Amber, came out with these Harry Potter themed project bags. And guys, I mean, y'all know how much I love Harry Potter, and I really love her interpretation on it. So I remember reading on her Instagram and somebody having kind of a snotty comment saying, "I don't see how that's Harry Potter." Well, then don't buy the bag, guy or lady, because I totally can see every bit of Harry Potter in this bag. You have the stars, and my daughter really loves how she lined up those two different star fabrics. So you have the floating stars, you have the mermaid of the Black Lake, you have the books for the library and for being at school, a deer, an owl, hello, some quill feathers, just this really cool blueprint of a castle. Sorry, the word escaped me. And then the back is this really beautiful royal purple linen fabric that I just love, and I want to put pins all over that. But this screams Harry Potter to me. And it's just this really nice natural color on the inside, and this bag is so well made, and I'm so glad that I bought this. Thank you so much, Amber, for doing these bags. And she sent a mini and a sweet note with it. I just love this mini. I don't know if this is some of her hand dyed or not. It doesn't say. She just says thanks for your order. But she does hand dye yarn, and I love jewel tones, guys. Amber's got my number, and I hide my phone during her updates and Bethany's updates. She's got beautiful yarn as well. So Bethany, I was watching her podcast, back to her. It's a new mini podcast, and I love her. I love her aesthetic. I think you will too. If you haven't checked her out, you definitely should. But she was talking about wanting to knit the Afterthought Everything socks, so I messaged her and said that I would love to knit along with you. And so it's kind of an informal cal. Sorry, cannot words. There's some ducks over there. But if you want me to create a thread in the group, if y'all would like to knit these along with us, please do join us. I think it would be a great thing to just learn a new technique, really. So I cast these on pretty much as soon as I messaged her. I was like, all right, she's in. I'm going to go cake up some yarn. And I've been wanting to go ahead and just start the girl socks that I plan on knitting them this year. I want to knit them at least 2 pairs each. And so I grabbed this yarn from Mustache. I bought this, I think, at my first Fiber Fest that I ever went to. And this is the Beetlejuice colorway, and it's a self-striping, so I thought that's perfect for Candace's of Pin Feathers and Pearls podcast. She's doing a stripy socks cal, and I think it's 2 months, so I feel comfortable with having plenty of time to try to figure out this new to me technique. Maybe it's just 6 weeks or something. It makes me, I feel like it's over a month. But I'm using my Hiya Sharps size 2.25 millimeter. I think that's right. Let me twist it here. Yeah. And I cast on and just knit this little bit when I took the girls to a party on Friday. My oldest had a birthday party to go to, so I cast these on as soon as I talked to Bethany, knit the rib, and that one little section at the party. And I have one of my Knitted by Nature charms hanging, a tooth. Does she know me or does she know me? Melissa sent me that because of all my horrible dentist trips. But I really love how this yarn is working up. I feel like it's perfect for Beetlejuice. You know, he's got that dingy green algae stuff growing on him, and then the monster is that black and white. Yeah. So Atrella, that's one of her all-time favorite movies, is Beetlejuice. And so I will knit this tube. My first and foremost focus will be getting Tim's socks finished, but these will be my sort of just working on in between working on the Fair Isle socks, because you need a vanilla sock to go with your more complicated pattern sock. And I have this little DP and Cozy is actually from, bear with me, Gemma, Rockabella Crafts. There we go, Gemma. Another little VW bus. And I ordered that with a bag, but I think I gave the bag to one of my friends who also loves VW buses. So that is that project. And if you would like to join us on that cow, please join us. And I have showed you a few acquisitions, but I'm going to resituate stuff again, and I'll be right back to show you more. Okay, so I got another Valentine from my friend Trish. Did I say what yarn this was? It was Nomadic Yarns, Kiss the Girl. I had this card right here, and sorry, I want to put that with that. But my friend Trish that I showed sent me that mug from Maryland, also sent me a little Valentine, and I got these on Valentine's Day, so that was really sweet. She had let me know she was sending me a yarn surprise, but not what it was. So when I got this, I was very surprised from All About Yarn. Owl About Yarn. People always make fun of my accent. Hour. Yeah, they all sound the same to me too. But these little minis are so cute, and I thought these are perfect for the Year of Ornaments. And I really wanted to do a heart on February 3rd. That's I can't even think of the words, people. Heart Awareness Day or something, Cardiac Awareness Day for women. And I wanted to knit a heart, but I never did. But here are a bunch of minis that I got, and I thought these are perfect for mini ornaments. I really want to make a blue bird of happiness with that blue one, and I thought this one would be a really cute set of mini mittens. And then these two here, the green and the gray, would be a beautiful Fair Isle mini sock. And then this bottom one would also just be a really pretty mini sock for the tree. So thank you so much for that, Trish. That was a cute surprise, and I love those minis. So I also got a mini package from Knitty Cactus, which is Lori, and she is a follower and a friend on Instagram, and we chat often. And she sent me a bag of minis with some tea and a note, and I just want to show a few of these minis. This one I was like smitten with. I want a full skein of this. I'm not sure how well that's going to show up. But it's a Miss Babs colorway blue dasher. And it's green and blue and tonal and beautiful. But then she also sent me, this one totally made me tear up. So it's an unknown sock yarn, makes a pretty Fair Isle pattern, date unknown. And she says that my mother passed away in 2007. I made her a pair of socks with this yarn. I still have the socks, and don't worry, I still have a mini as well. I know your mother passed away too, and I know how hard it can be, but we always have our memories. Which is so true, and it just made me, it hit me in all the feels. And thank you so much for sending me a bit of your treasured yarn, because I know that the yarn that my mom picked for a pair of socks, I've sort of been hoarding, and I want to make the pair of socks that I'd planned for her. And yeah, so thank you, Lori. And she sent me this really cute pin that says I knit because I'm smarter than you, as well as a mitten stitch marker. And she says that Michigan is the mitten state, and that's why she made and sent me this really adorable mitten stitch marker. So I will think of that every single time that I use it and that I knit mittens. We don't really have a use for mittens in Texas, but I'm talking about the mini ornament kind. So thank you for that, and I will be sending out your minis soon. And then I have had a friend, we did a swap ages ago. One of my first swaps was with this particular follower that I have on Instagram, and we've been friends and chatted ever since. And she was asking me about my Furls crochet hooks, which I didn't even bring out, but that's what I crocheted this guy with, is a size F for Furls crochet hook. But she was asking me about how I liked them, and at the time I wasn't using them at all, and I told her I could send her a few to try out. And she had them for a bit, and I didn't even miss them until I just recently organized my yarn again, and I asked her about them, and she was like, oh sure, yeah, I've been meaning to send them back. And she had sent them back, and of course, like knitters do, she couldn't just send me the thing that I lent her back. She had to go all out and send me this incredible package. I don't have the coffee mug, but I've literally been using the coffee mug every single day. I took a picture of all this, but I wanted to show you some of my favorite things that she sent. This isn't even all of it. The box was like stuffed with other yarn that I'm going to actually use to make a crocheted cushion for my couch. She said that she was using it as filler, and if I didn't like it, send it on, but I loved everything she sent. So she sent me a really nice note. She sent me a coffee mug from this backyard pottery shop, Back Bay pottery shop. And like I said, I didn't bring it out here to show you because it's glass, but I brought this. So she's from Louisiana. And so she sent me this ornament crocodile, which is totally cute, and I love it. And it has a story on it. Words escape me today. She sent me this adorable project bag, and I've been wanting one of this construction where you just hook it over your arm. But I love this fabric. It's from Whimsy Stitches on Etsy, and it's just this like state fair fabric. If you guys know me, I love anything about farming and canning. I have chickens. I love this little pig here. I would really like my girls to show pigs, but they don't want to sell them at the end because they're going to get attached, which I understand. But she sent me two minis like this, two hedgehog fiber sock minis, which my Knit Night lady said they didn't even know hedgehog fiber had minis. And I wound one on a neospine, I don't know how you say that wooden center pole ball winder thing, handheld at Knit Night, just to see how it worked. And I'm actually using this as my heels on Atrella's socks for her Beetlejuice socks. I thought this would be really, really cool. It's even got some of, I don't know how well you're going to see that out here, but this greenish brown here, and Atrella's all about the blue. So that's going to be beautiful contrast heels for possibly toes too. I think they're 20 grams. So I think that's plenty. They're 20 grams, 80 meters. I think that's plenty for heels and toes, but we'll have to see. And then she sent me two beautiful skeins of yarn. This one is Spectrum, and my local yarn store just got this. I went in there on Knit Night a few nights ago, and they had a table full of this in different bases. This is the silk merino base, which is 50 silk, 50 merino, and I thought this would be a really cool hat, like a crocheted hat. So I think that's what I'm going to do with that. It's kind of being blown out. It's purple and it has greens, shots of greens in it. The colorway is Spectrum, if I didn't say that. And then this one. So as soon as I saw it and then read the yardage, I think that it's definitely going to be, it's Miss Babs, the Fall Destination Knitting Tour 2013. And it is Tarte hand-painted sock yarn, 75% superwash and 15% nylon and 10% tencel, and it's approximately 500 yards. So I really want to knit the perfect crop top. I think that's what it's called. Gabby from Once Upon a Corgi knit it recently and wore it to Vogue Knitting Live, I want to say. And I think this is enough yardage. I might have to add some to the ribbing, but I thought that would be so beautiful over some dresses or even by itself. It's just this bright, beautiful spring green, and I am completely in love with this, and I want to knit that, but I'm going to make myself finish some projects before I kick this up. So, is that all I have? No, my book. So, I got a book at the recommendation of Treehouse Knits, and I've been meaning to check out her podcast. It's been on my watch list for a while, and of course there's only so many hours in the day, and you watch the podcast that you've been watching when you have time. So I still need to watch. I've watched a couple of the beginning parts of one, but I need to watch a whole episode of hers. But she recommended this book on Instagram, and so I had to get it. It's called Woman's Work, The First 20,000 Years by Elizabeth Wayland Barber, and it's Woman Cloth in Society in Early Times. So I read reviews on this on Amazon, and some people said they loved it, and other people said that they had a hard time getting into it because it read so much like a textbook. I'm a history buff. I I could read a textbook all day, every day. And so I really don't mind that, but I do find that to be true. I've started it, and I'm not very far in, but it does read a bit like textbook. So if you're not into that, you may not be interested. But it is a very fascinating book about early times and making. I'll read the back jacket to you. 20,000 years ago, women were making and wearing the first clothing created from spun fibers. In fact, right up to the Industrial Revolution, the fiber arts were an enormous economic force belonging primarily to women. Despite the great toll required in making cloth and clothing, most books on ancient history and economics have no information on them. The extreme perishability of what women produced is largely responsible for this omission, a gap that leaves out virtually half of the picture of prehistoric and early historic cultures. But today, new discoveries about the textile arts are revealing women's vital role in pre-industrial societies. Elizabeth Whalen Barber has drawn from data gathered by the most sophisticated new archaeological methods she helped to fashion, to show that women were a powerful economic force in the ancient and early modern worlds with their own industry fabric. So like I said, I'm not very far into this book, but I'm very excited to get into it. I did look at my library first. My library didn't have it, and they even do like a loaner program with other libraries in the area, and they didn't have it. So I looked on Amazon, and it was, I think, around $15 even with Prime. And so I was going into town last week, so I decided to check half-price books like I always do. After I check Amazon, if it's more than $10 for a book, I generally go check out half-price books. I love buying books, but I don't love spending a lot of money on books. And so half-price books did not have it at the location that I was at, but they said the location down in Austin had it, and they could ship it to my address. And I was like, done. And it was less than $10 shipped to my house from half-price books. So, and it's a brand new book. Like the jacket, the binding hasn't even been cracked. Like I got a brand new book. And it is an older book. I think it was published in the 90s, I want to say. But I highly recommend it. If you're into textiles and the history of making, definitely check it out. I think that's all I have. Atrella has been drawing up a storm, and I meant to show you some of the stuff that she did last time. She did a couple of self-portraits of our family. She did a self-portrait, but then she did portraits of our family. And then she was also drawing this the other night. So this was on February 6th, and today's like the 23rd. But she dated it, because I told her, you need to start dating stuff and signing it. And she made me this, y'all. Look at it. I really love it. I'm going to get a little frame for it and hang it in my craft area. I really love it. She put a backing of construction paper on it and used like metallic pins, so it's all shimmery. Isn't that adorable? Someone recommended that she start doing illustrations on cards and stuff, and maybe open an Etsy to sell cards. You should see some of her other drawings. I don't think that's a bad idea, but she just, anytime I mention anything like that, she just quickly finds something else that she's interested in doing more and kind of downplays whatever that is. So that is all I have. I do want to say congratulations to my friend Molly of Molly Klein Design knitting her first socks, and Melissa of Knitty by Nature, who I always mention, has been knitting socks too, and I'm just so proud. They've been messaging me, asking me questions about socks, and I'm not good at explaining things or helping people, but by all means message me. I love it, and if I'm helping you, that's awesome. If I'm inspiring you, that makes me feel so good. Knit socks. I love knitting socks, and that is all I have for y'all. Hopefully the girls will pop on later. Prudence has something to show. She has a finished object, and Atrella's been, crafting up a storm like she does. So hopefully I haven't gone on too long, and thanks so much, guys, for watching. I'll see you later.